Welcome back YouTube, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do what's going to be an exciting video. Today we're going to talk about my top 25 most expensive games in my collection. And for those that have been watching the channel for a while, you should probably know what the most expensive one is going to be. Anyway, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about what's going to be happening with the channel in the next month or so. I mean, you see, my next video is going to be a pickups video, which I'm going to show you about what games I've been buying most recently. I mean, you can see the view from the game room window at the moment. The weather's okay in the country at the moment. I'm in England, for those that don't know. I mean, so I'm going to be doing a pickups video. And I'm also going to be doing, Starfield's coming out soon, so I might be doing some gameplay. I'll probably be doing a video on Starfield at some point, which is coming to Game Pass for free. So you can preload it now on the other platforms as well. And I'll probably be doing some gameplay for Starfield. I want to show a bit more of the retro consoles, but I haven't basically worked out how I can basically show them to the full extent, because basically anything that you can capture is basically from an HDMI source, so you need a capture card or something, and I don't really know how to do the retro platforms to show them off that well. Anyway, let's get on with my most expensive games. There are going to be some grails in there, so stick around to the end. I'm going to tell you a bit about each. As always, I'm going to quote my values are going to be based on price charting, and where I'll tell you what I paid for the game, what it's going for now, is it worth playing, which is one of the most important factors, and are there any alternatives to playing it, like some other games that are available that are very similar, or has it been ported to a more modern platform, or is there an alternative way to play it for cheaper? Anyway, let's start at the beginning. So, as we know, the first one is going to be a Pokemon game. So we're going to talk about Pokemon. So this is Pokemon on the GBA. So this is the cheapest game of the ones I'm going to feature. Sorry if you can see the ones in the back. I'm going to try not to spoil them, but I'm trying to film and do this at the same time. Anyways, and I'll tell you a little bit about each. So this is Pokemon Ruby version, this being the original version that came out for the GBA. So my story with Pokemon Ruby, this one is, I was going around the charity shops. I didn't find it directly in the charity shop. This is a long time ago, though, bear in mind. So this one I was going between two charity shops. So I crossed over basically, it was kind of like a main road. And then I found £20 on the floor, which is UK currency. And basically I used that £20 I found on the floor and another £5 to buy this Pokemon Ruby. So this was a pre-owned copy. So this, at the time, I paid the tag price on it, which was $24.97. So that would have been within a year or two of it coming out. I don't think I got it when it came out anyway on this one. So I paid $24.97 for it. And you say all the Pokemon games, people, are worth playing in some degree. Some are better than others, but they're all reasonably thing. And if you can find them, and I'll also tell you about some of the ones I found recently within a year or so that I bought and sold and traded in. Even if you don't like the game, it's worth buying them, because you can get them for, if you get them cheap enough, you can get a lot of profit out of them. And you see, I traded some of these. So it's Pokemon Ruby, bought for $24.97 a long time ago. Now it's going for $118.97. Okay, so with this version, this game has alternative version. You can get the newer version on the 3DS, which is Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire is the one in the series. So some of the games in the same series, some of them are worth more than others. I can't remember if it's Sapphire or Ruby that's the most expensive version, but I don't have the original Sapphire. I've got both of them on the 3DS anyway. I'm trying to complete a set of all the games anyway, and I'm going for a complete living dex. So this is Pokemon Omega Ruby, that's the 3DS version. So this version, I would say, is better than the original version. It's got a lot of extra content, especially in the post-game, and I'm working my way through it currently. Anyway, this version isn't as much. This is around 30 something for this version. Anyway, that was my cheapest game. Now we'll go on to... okay. For people who are looking for alternative monster training games, or say you can, I'll try keeping the camera there because it's not going to spoil as much. So if you're looking for alternative monster trading games, so I recommend on the current generation of platforms, I would recommend Cassette Beasts. So Cassette Beasts is and one you should look into. It's available on Steam and on the Switch. There's also the Dragon's Quest Monsters that's been going for quite a while now. And there's also Monster Hunter Stories are some of the other ones I'd recommend that aren't as as well known as the Pokemon series anyway, and some of the things they do in those series are done better than the Pokemon thing. I'll be getting the DLC for the most recent Pokemon game, Scarlet and Violet. I mean, I'm waiting for it. It's only a couple of weeks away now. Anyway, so, and I'd also recommend, if you want to look at other Monster Tamer content, I recommend Monster Hunter Ed. Check him out on YouTube, another good YouTuber. Alright, so now we move on to number 24. So I'm doing 25 games. So the next one is Legend of Zelda. This is Majora's Mask. So I like all the Zelda games. So this one has the thing to distinguish it between the other Zelda games is it's based on a Groundhog Day kind of style principle. So in which case the day it's on a 70, I think it's 72-hour clock. So 3-day cycle. So basically the events and that play out in real time, and basically you have to do various things to change the effects, and basically some of the dungeons have timing. So this on the N64 required the expansion pack, which was an additional, I think it was 4 meg expansion pack. Anyway, so this requires an expansion pack on the N64, and it's the game to come out after Ocarina of Time, which was I think Ocarina of Time is my favourite Zelda, either that or Link to the Past. Anyway, this is still a good Zelda game. I got this brand new when it came out, so it would have been about £40 something, maybe 50. Now it's going for 120. There's also a 3DS port that's also quite expensive. I'm sorry, I can't quite remember how much it is. Is it a good game? Yes. Is it worth playing? Yes. Try and see, I think. Right, so that's Zelda. I mean, you say many people, there are going to be many RPGs in this video. As I said, they're one of the games that holds their value relatively. Anyway, so now we'll go on to something else. So we've got Dragonblade, so this being a Psycho shooter. So this is the English version of Dragonblade. So in case, I say most of the games are going to be English or European versions, or PAL as they're called, which is going to be what the bulk of my collection is. I do get imports as well, but most of these are what I have. Anyway, so this is Dragonblade, this being a Psycho shooter. It's also similar to Dragon's Spirit, and that on the PC Engine. I mean, so this copy I got in CX, it's a CX tag in the thing. I think I got it in the Southampton branch from what I remember. Yeah, it says CX Southampton on the tag. I paid £8. Is it a good game? Yes. Is it Psycho shooters all pretty good? So this one is with a fantasy theme. There's some other games with fantasy theme, and dragons in particular. So this one, you play as a dragon, and you basically, it's like a bullet hell style shooter. I'm going to say there's going to be lots of shooters on this list as well. Anyway, this one I paid £8 for. This is a PAL copy. It's going for 124.66. Is it a good game? Yes. Is it one of the better Psycho games? Yes, for me personally, it is. It's also available on the Psycho collection, which is available on more modern platforms such as PS4 and Switch. And it's definitely worth playing if you can play it. It's probably easier to get on one of those compilations. It was split into 3 volumes though, so I can't remember which compilation volume it's on. Anyway, we will move onwards. Anyway, my next game is Samurai Spirits, or Samurai Showdown, as it's known in Japan. So this is a Japanese AES game, and then people will say no. So my AES is over there. Samurai Spirits is currently in the cartridge slot. Anyway, so Samurai Spirits is a good weapon-based fighting game for the Neo Geo. So people who don't know the Neo Geo is one of the most expensive consoles to collect for. In particular, the carts being the AES home carts. Basically, so the Neo Geo was basically, it started in life by S&K as an arcade system, which it was designed to be used in the arcades, and it's called the MVS, or the arcade versions. Then you said they released it later, about a year later, they came out with the home version, which is called the AAS, and these are the home carts. So they released on these huge carts. So these cartridges were like basically having the arcade board in your home. So they were basically entirely the same as the machine. And when you say it was the Rolls Royce of consoles, these games weren't cheap when they came out. I think they started out, the machine was 500 or 600 when it came out. and the games were around 250 quid, which was comparison. The SNES at the time was around something around the £200 mark, and the games on that being 50 quid. So each time you were buying a game, they were costing about as much as a SNES, and not many people probably had them when they came out. Anyway, this is Samurai Spirits or Samurai Showdown. This being the first game. I said the mega. So they have a tag in the corner. So that basically is how many meg the cartridge are. So this is one of the earlier releases being in the thing, and they went up to the later ones that go over to up to nearly 1,000 meg, I believe, are the largest ones. Anyway, this is a Japanese game. So as you say, the Japanese games are cheaper to collect for because they were released in more numerous quantities. The English games were released in more limited quantities, and sometimes you had to mail order them, because I remember the first time I saw AES or heard about AES games, they were in the back of a magazine. I believe CVG was the UK based magazine that mentioned them. Anyway, it's a really good game. It's a weapon based fighter. It's by SNK that also did various other games, and the Neo Geo is well known for its fighting games and its shooting games and its arcade games mainly. Anyway, I'll show you an AS cart later because I haven't. This one is. I just want to show you the cartridge up close. Okay, so there's the MVS and CD versions are available on the original hardware, which are a lot cheaper. Bear in mind that the CD machine has a really slow disk access time, depending on whether you get the original model, or there's one with a quicker drive called the CDZ, I believe. Anyway, so that's available. But you can get Samurai Spirits easily on the Samurai Showdown collection, which is available on more recent platforms and some more retro platforms as well. It started on the PS2 and the Wii. I believe the PS2 version is like quite slow, and the disc access, the thing isn't the best port. If you stick away from that version and either go for the other versions, there's also more recent versions on such as like Steam and the Switch. I recently got the complete collection on Steam. I haven't yet to play all of them, but I'm enjoying it. Anyway, Samurai Spirits, I forgot to tell you how much I paid for it. Technically, it came with my machine, and I paid around 200 for the machine. That was a long time ago. That was about 15 years ago. So it's going for 125, that version. I'd try and get it on the compilation if you can. But even if you're buying that on an AES original cart, it's one of the cheaper AES games for sure. Is it worth playing? Yes. Would I recommend it? Yes. If you want to looking at other weapon-based fighters, because they're basically they're a lot of the people in that have like swords and weapons and stuff. I'd recommend other games are such as Soul Calibur, Last Blade. But stay away from the Last Blade on the AES, as that cartridge is worth a lot. That's probably nearly £1,000, that game. There's 2 Last Blade games, and there was also another game that won't come to me immediately, so I can't remember. But try and play one of those as well if you're looking for alternatives. Anyway, we'll move on to number 21. We'll aim for an hour on this video and see where we go anyway. Anyway, this is my most expensive PS2 game. For sure. No, I'm not ruining anything by saying that. So this is Silent Hill, the Silent Hill collection. So this is basically a compilation of the Silent Hill games on PlayStation 2. So the first one was released on PlayStation 1. So this is 2, 3, 4. They also are available as separate games in their own entities, but I haven't got the separate versions. So this is Silent Hill 2, 3, 4. This comes in a larger style case. I'm trying to focus on the thing without the glare of the camera. So this is the Silent Hill collection. So Silent Hill 2, 3, 4 on the PS2. So this basically is 3 games in one. So you're getting 3 games on the one pack. This cost me £3. I got from the charity shop in Aldershot. While I was there playing Magic in one of my bars, I went to the charity shop and got this. This is now going for 128.22 as of the filming of this video. So the alternatives are you can get all the games separately, and there's also available a more recent HD port which was available on the PS3 and Xbox 360. Now, I can't remember how much that version's going for, but I'm sure it's cheaper than that version. Anyway, you can say this version, I believe, may have some problems with it. I can't remember if it reviewed very well. Anyway, if you're going for the PS3 or the 360 version, I would go for the 360 version, because I feel that's going to be a lot cheaper, because the PS3 seems to be more collectible for some reason. Although I'm more a 360 collector myself, so I'd probably get it on that. Anyway, Silent Hill games, are they some of the best in gaming? Yes. Are they slightly slower than some of the more arcadey horror titles, yes, but like they're definitely worth playing. And those ones controlled fairly well. Was the early survival horror games suffered from a lot from tank controls, which basically means that they felt slow and clunky to control. Anything they came out before the analog thing came out on the original PlayStation. Anyway, so we'll move on to Fire Emblem. So we've got Fire Emblem: The Sacred Stones. So I believe this was the first one released in English, or which was localized, because Fire Emblem games have been going quite a long time now. So that I'm playing Three Houses on the Switch at the moment. So this is Fire Emblem Sacred Stones on the GBA. So my story with this one is I got it from the charity shop. I paid like £3 for it. They also it was quite a long time ago though. So they also had another game at the same time, which was I believe it was Astro Boy, the treasure shooter, which is I would have liked as well. I took them both to the counter, and then I found out that the cartridge inside the other game had been stolen, unfortunately. So I only got Fire Emblem: The Sacred Stones, but I'm sure it's the more expensive of the two games. I paid £3 for it. It's going for 133.27. And if you were looking for is it worth playing? Yes. Is it good? Yes. There are lots of other Fire Emblem games available. So if the Fire Emblem games date back to the SNES. I believe the last Fire Emblem game was Fire Emblem on the SNES was the last game released on that platform, and is quite collectible. I also believe that comes in a larger style box, which I'll show you a game with a large box in a minute. Anyway, Fire Emblem. Definitely worth getting. And you say if you're looking for alternatives to Fire Emblem and stuff, they're not necessarily going to be on the Nintendo platform. I would recommend stuff such as Shining Force, which is available. That was a Sega game. There'll be some of those later in the video for sure. So these are they're all tactical RPGs anyway, or stuff like Final Fantasy Tactics. As well as that, yeah, those are basically that's Fire Emblem. Anyway, we say we go on to Xbox 360 games. So this has been on my video before. So this is Muchi Muchi Pink Sweets. Okay, so this is going to be one of my Japanese Xbox 360 games, and as I said before, this one will play on all regions of Xbox 360. It's not region locked, whereas some of the games on the 360 are region locked. Anyway, this is an NTSC. This is on Cave the Best. So this is effectively what's the platinum re-release or greatest hits, depending on what platform you're used to. So it's the budget re-release of this game. So this is a double pack of Muchi Muchi Pork and Pink Sweets, both in one disc for the 360. So it's got a various selection of Xbox arrange modes. It's got it doesn't really have such, though this one I would say is more so the Cave so Japanese Xbox 360 games are graded by letters. So as they say, they've got a certificate system rating. So you go A, B, C, D. So A is suitable for B, and like it goes up to like D, which is a 18 plus game. So they have Japanese up the spine. Anyway, so I got this for Christmas one year. So I paid around £30 for it. I remember getting it was probably from Video Game Imports or Genki. I paid around £30 for it. It's going for 133.31. I mean, to say this game could do with a re-release it's not very accessible compared to some of the other Cave games, because a lot of the Cave games have been ported to more recent platforms. Would I recommend it? I don't think it plays the best on the 360. I think graphically it doesn't look the best. Is it a good game? I recommend it for people that are more experienced with the genre. But is it the best Cave game? Not for me. Not for me. It's not. I'd recommend any of the other Cave games like Mushi-sama, Don Pachi or stuff like that. I don't feel that's the best Cave game. I would say this also came out on an original version. So this is the re-release. It's also available as an original version. And we say that came with a DLC code card in the box, which means you could play one of the games. I can't remember which way round it is, because you could play the game with the bosses from the other game on it, and I can't remember which way round it is. Anyway, Pink Sweets is also a continuation. It's the sequel to Ibura, which came out on the PS2, and that game is also expensive now as well. Anyway, so that's Muchi Muchi Pork and Pink Sweets double, and one of my favourite consoles to collect for is the Xbox 360, and that's one of the more expensive games on the console. Okay, so now we come to the So this is Legend of Zelda: Oracle of Seasons, and it's got a spiritual game, another game which is in the sequence. So this is Legend of Zelda: Oracle of Ages. So these came out so recently. Nintendo had a kind of change of heart, so they decided to put some more games onto the Nintendo Switch Online. So for those that don't know, they have a selection of NES, Game Boy, N64 games available online, and they basically put them on this subscription. Basically, so if you're on the higher subscription, which is called the expansion pass, you have access to these games. Bless me. Anyway, so these games are a different game. They are completely different. They're not like a Pokemon game because they are complete games. They're different story on everything, so they're completely different games. So, which of these games do you think is worth more? Do you think it's Oracle of Seasons or Oracle of Ages? I'll give you a second to think about that. And we can say before we get into that, there was also going to be a third part for this game, but Nintendo never got around. I don't know if you'll be able to find that online as like a kind of prototype or not, but there was going to be a third part in the series as well. Anyway, all the Zelda games are worth getting, people, and you say most Zelda games, they keep their money. People that like Zelda know I like Zelda, and I know I've got various Zelda things that are featured before, like my gold Game Boy SP. Anyway, I gave you a second to think about it. Now, do you think it's Oracle of Ages or Oracle of Seasons? Dun dun dun. So Oracle of Ages is the cheaper one. Oracle of Ages is going for £134.82. Oracle of Seasons, the red one, is going for £137.12. Do you think the blue and the red are kind of like the Pokemon? I think they're kind of like the Pokemon game. They were going for the two different colours, blue and red. Anyway, so it's going for £137.12 for the one. And if you want to play it, you can play it on Switch Online. I did say if you want to try it, I'd try it digitally, and then if you feel the need, pick it up. They could also re-release it later, but are they going to do it? I don't know. I can't remember. Anyway, I played them both through at the time. I might play them again but I'd probably play it on the thing. I mean, if you're going to play it on another handheld, I'd probably play it on the Analog Pocket or something like that, because it's got a better quality screen than the Game Boy anyway. Okay, so we're now up to 16. So I'll go on to the next pile in the stack. So I'll go on to... So this is one of my better charity shop purchases, although at the time I didn't know it. So this has got XMen 2, the Clone Wars game, on the Mega Drive. So it's in part of the Blue Box Mega Drive series, which people know, people like the Blue Box Mega Drive series. People are going for complete sets of this. Is this one of the most expensive games in the series? No, it's not up to the World Championship Soccer, I believe, is the most expensive one. So this Mega Drive game is pretty much mint. It's got complete with the hang tag. I pay... X-Men is one of the more popular of Marvel's series in video gaming. There's quite a few X-Men games going back. Let's say this is one of the earlier ones, I would think. I mean, you say this one is going for quite a lot. $139.81. Okay, so that's X-Men. I can't remember much about it. I mean, you say I'll play it again at some point. I mean, you say it's going for $139.81. Now we move on to one of the bigger ones. Well, bigger box anyway. I mean, you said the people that know, I've featured this video before. If you want this, see a bit more in detail about Steel Battalion, watch my pickups video. You'll see it linked in one of my playlists. I would say I link all these in a playlist. I've got video game collection series, I've got my pickup series, and I've got another one I've just started playlist for gameplay. Anyway, this is Steel Battalion. This is a mech game. This is by Capcom. So this is, well, I'll just show you. I'll pause on that. That's the game. So I'll show you the box it came in without trying to spoil anything. So that's the Steel Battalion, the box. That came in that box. It's like a crate, so it comes with a complete controller. And if you want to see the controller, it's in a bit more detail. It's like an entire arcade stick, and it's got pedals, multiple sticks, and a lot of buttons. It's one of the largest video game controllers you will see, and it's the reason generally why you want to get the game with the controller, as the game without the controller isn't worth getting, but it's still worth something. Anyway, say the game with the controller, keep your eyes open. My friend, anyway, I got my copy from my friend Mike. I basically traded it. So I basically got... So this is Steel Battalion. This is also the manual you get with it. It's a huge game. It's more similar in style to a train game. I can't remember what the train game series is called. I think it's Denshi Go or something. It originates on around the Dreamcast PlayStation kind of era. Anyways, to say it's a mech simulator more than a thing. It's similar more to a flight game effectively. And you go into combat. You have to take your mech through various things. Anyway, it's a really difficult game. It takes quite a while to get used to, and it's more like a simulator. But it's really good fun. And people, this game hasn't really been ported at all. There's another game in the series which is an Xbox 360 Connect title, which is completely different. This one also has two versions. It's got the blue and the green version. One is being a later version. The version you want to keep your eyes open for is Line of Contact, which on the box, I believe it has more red branding around the top, and it will say Steel Battalion Line of Contact, which means that you're more likely it will be the second version, which comes with a completely different a disc, which has the multiplayer component of the game on it. I'd love to play the multiplayer. Apparently it's playable online, and it's still replayable on fan servers apparently. Anyway, you say it's on the original Xbox. And you say that, okay, so that's that. And you say, so basically, I traded for this game. I traded for it a copy of Heart Gold, which had the Poker Walker. But, oh, no, it didn't have the Poker Walker in it. It was missing the Poker Walker, so it was complete minus the Poker Walker. So I knocked a 40 quid off it, I think. So effectively, I paid £5 for that copy of Heart Gold and a complete copy of Pokemon Platinum, which these came in the charity shop within the year. And it was in my earlier pick-ups video if you want to see that. And say that Pokemon Platinum cost me £1.50. So I paid £6.50 for it. So this is going for £139.96. Alright, hope you're enjoying it, Mike. Thank you very much. I hope you're enjoying your Pokemon game anyway. And I'm certainly enjoying Steel Battalion. I mean, to say, people, though, Armored Core just came out. If you're looking for other mech games, Armored Core just came out. I've never played an Armored Core game. I'd be interested in getting into that at some point. Also, other mech games, there's stuff like Virtual On and Front Mission, which I would also recommend. I've played some of those. I haven't played the Armored Core games. Anyway, I mean, we just said one Pokemon game to the next, so we go to Pokemon. I think it's better at that kind of angle. I think that low on the floor, there's not such glare. Sorry for the glare. That's part of the pain. I'm not sure my lighting is 100% correct. I do have the curtain open and everything drawn. I normally play with the lighting off. Anyway, so this is Pokemon Soul Silver. So this is the re-release of Pokemon Silver on the DS, the original version being a Game Boy Color game. Was it Color? I can't remember. No, I think it's original Game Boy, just. Anyway, I mean, it's this Pokemon Soul Silver. It also came with this lenticular print, which is like, I think it came with the game. I didn't get one with the other game anyway. Anyway, I bought this off my friend Sam. It was complete, other than it was missing the manual for the Poker Walker. I paid $65 for it. And it doesn't have some of the inner cardboard in it. It's going for $145.90. And I'll show you the other one in point. Is Soul Silver. So this is the best version of the second gen of Pokemon games for sure. Anyway, that's that. Anyway, move on to Pokemon Leaf Green. So, my favourite Pokemon game is definitely the original gen. I'm of the age where I remember the original games more, and I have a fondness for the 100. I used to be able to name them all in Pokedex order as well. I mean, this Pokemon Leaf Green, it's worth bearing in mind. This comes with a peripheral in the box. It comes with a Game Boy Advance wireless adapter, which I think was used to link them up to do the trading aspect of it. Anyway, I'm still looking for Fire Red as well. I'll get that at some point. I mean, you say the loose carts in CX at the moment of these kind of ones are going for like 40 plus in just loose. This full version is going for 152. I got this new when it came out, so it was whatever I paid for it new. And we will move on to something completely different. So this is Chaos Break. So this is a good example of keep your eyes open, people. Some games you never know about. This had a pound tag on it on PS1, and I thought, oh, that looks interesting, I'll try it. It's a survival horror kind of game, which is similar in style to Resident Evil, or stuff like Silent Hill. I can't remember hugely about it and if it plays very well or not. I can't remember if it's got the tank controls or not. I don't like tank controls. I mainly tried to play them when after the analog sticks came in, so they play better. Anyway, I paid £1 for it, going for 159.54 now. That's a European one. If you like this kind of thing, I'd also keep my eye open for stuff like Resident Evil, Dino Crisis, stuff like that. Right, so now we go on to Pokemon Heart Gold. So this is the other game in the companion series to Soul Silver, and it's worth more than Soul Silver. Why? I don't know. I've no idea. Anyway, this one was I got this brand new. This is complete in the box. Got everything. It's got the poly and everything. Worth keeping in mind out both the games they are available in these big boxes. In America, I'm not sure they're released in these big boxes, and I think we're available in a regular edition, but like I'm mainly a European collector, so this is what I have. It comes with the Pokewalker, which was the little mini accessory which enabled you to train your Pokemon. I think it was based on steps, on how many steps you take. Anyway, it might be quite fun to try that out. I mean, to say, it's going for £182. Alright. Maybe go on to something completely different. So my next shmup on the list. So this is Aldine on the Super Graphics. So this is I will open it because I want to show you. Sorry, I might see if I can do this. I should have done it ahead of time. I've managed it. I managed to do it one-handed. So I wanted to show you. So I've had this on my video before. So basically, I'll show you the thing. So this is what a PC Engine games look like. So the ones available, they were called Hue cards, basically, and they came out on these little things, which are like credit cards. So this is being a Super Graphics game. So the Super Graphics didn't have many games on it. There being only 6 games available for it. I'm going for a complete set, actually. Anyway, this is Aldine. So it's a shooter similar style to something like a Darius or something like that. It's on the more kind of like, it's not as like it's more realistic, like semi-realistic, similar to in style to. Oh, what's that game? I can't remember, but it's more realistic. There's not any fantasy theme or anything. It's kind of similar. It looks a bit military, kind of semi-realistic kind of thing. Anyway, that's the kind of card it comes on, and that's they come on these little. So you can tell on the PC Engine they have Japanese up the spine, and you can tell roughly what format they are, because some have got a Hue card, some came out on CD and various things like that. Anyway, those are a bit about PC Engine. I say we like PC Engine, but like if you like PC Engine games, watch something like there's the good YouTuber for shmups is Shmup Junkie. Watch Shmup Junkie. He did a video on all the PC Engine shooters. If you want to look into a lot more detail about things like that. It's also he did another series on 16-bit shooters, that being his speciality. So keep your eye open for that. Anyway, I got mine free with my machine. The Super Graphics is sitting up there somewhere. I paid about £200 for the machine. Anyway, the game is going for, at the moment, it's £183. It was, in lockdown, it was as high as 500 and something pounds, but now it's not as much. Anyway, you say other alternatives I look into if you want to play some PC Engine games. I mean, they were available on the Wii U Virtual Console, but I got most of those before it shut, unfortunately. Anyway, you should be able to get them somehow if your machine's modded. I'll say no more on that bit. And you say I'd look into other games such as Darius. Personally, it's not my favourite of the PC Engine shooters. I prefer any of them. More or less any of the other ones. Would I have bought it on its own? Probably not. Anyway, a bit disappointing for me. Anyway, we'll carry on. Alright, so we go on to the original version of Pokemon Silver. So well, I've been playing since the original game. I got them all when they come out. This is a US import. So this is the original games, the non-ported ones. So the original gen of games up to all the original Game Boy games, and that were available on the Wii U. Sorry, not the Wii U, I mean the 3DS. Yeah, between the two machines, the 3DS and the Wii U, they had all the original Game Boy games available. And when you say you couldn't get them. Now there's no legal way to get the game digitally anymore. And you say, unless you have a hacked machine, that was the way you could get the game. Anyway, this is the original version. I got it on import when it came out. I remember I got it in a cycle shop. There was a bike shop that was selling it. And I've no idea where it came from there. I got mine from a cycling shop. I paid, like 30 quid for it when it was available. And it's going for 184.28. I mean, say if your machine is hacked, you should be able to pick this up. If you're looking for the easy way to play it, I probably recommend the newer version of the game, Soul Silver. Anyway, so we'll move on. We go to next in the sequence of Phantasy Star. Are we in the top 10? Sorry, we're in the top 10 games, I forgot to mention. Okay, so this game was expensive when it came out. This is Phantasy Star 4. End of the Millennium, I think, might be the subtitle. It was 50 quid when it came out, and it's also got a title, CNN Cycle tag. So I believe CNN Cycles was a chain in the UK that seemed to do video games and bikes. I've no idea. The Pokemon game I think I got from there as well. Anyway, this one came from the charity shop anyway. This one was, what did I pay, £3 for it? Going for 187.96. So Phantasy Star has been going for a while now. It's being the first couple of entries were on the Master System, and then they moved on to the Mega Drive. So this game was expensive when it came out. It went for 50 quid when it was released, and it's going for 187.96 now. So Phantasy Star games, they're available on the Mega Drive collection. I remember playing this. I don't remember if I played this version or not. And I mean, say they're available on the Mega Drive collection. You can get all four of the Phantasy Star games, those versions up to that. So eventually they moved on, and then they started becoming Phantasy Star Online. Anyway, Phantasy Star is a good RPG series, because it's got a nice science fiction kind of setting, which most of them have a fantasy theme. I mean, you say Phantasy Star worth putting into. I haven't gotten into the online one. Oh, I played the Dreamcast online one, but I haven't played the more recent ones. Anyway, Phantasy Star. And it's also, I believe it might be available on the Mega Drive Mini as well. I don't have any of the mini consoles. I quite like to get those at some point anyway, because they have HDMI output, and you should be able to show gameplay from them, as opposed to a old school Mega Drive. Right, so that's Phantasy Star. Then we go on to Castlevania. So, yeah, it's better from that angle. Okay, so this is Castlevania, the new generation. So this is basically an old school style of Castlevania, not the more recent Metroidvania Castlevania game. So this is similar in style to the one that came out on the SNES, Super Castlevania 4, I believe, is that? So Castlevania games dated back to the NES. And correct me if I'm wrong, this was the first one released on a non-Nintendo platform? Or I can't remember if Rondo of Blood came out on the PC Engine first. I can't remember, but it was one of the first to come out on a non-Nintendo platform anyway. Anyway, this one I paid as a £3 on the tag. Still haven't got the tag off. This one is in pretty good condition, other than it doesn't have the hand tab, and there's a bit of it looks like a tape mark at the top of the box. Anyway, I would say this is what they're worth playing. All the Castlevania games. I prefer the Metroidvania ones though, but this is an old school Castlevania game. The difficulty level is quite high. I believe the Japanese version is more expensive as well. I believe it's called Vampire Killer or something. I believe the box is completely different. It's kind of like red, I believe. Anyway, this is I paid £3. It's going for £196.17. So also, if you were looking for alternatives, I'd recommend the SNES game. And I believe there's a collection of Castlevania games that are also available on more modern platforms. And it might be on the Mega Drive Mini, but I can't remember. Anyway, that's Castlevania game. Okay, so now we move on to... We're hitting the top 6 games. So move on to... Sorry about that. I don't know spoil anything with that. Anyway, so we move on to one of the second biggest box in the one of the on today's video. So we've got Super Metroid. So this is a game I've had twice in my playing thing. So I played it when it originally came out, and I finished it and either traded it in for something or returned. I probably traded it in. So when I got it once, finished it, and got it back. So basically, this time, so Super Metroid. This is where the term Metroidvania comes from. Is the combination between this And well, I won't spoil what other game it is, but you should know, if you know your games, you'll know what the other game it comes from. Anyway, so this is Super Metroid. This is one of the biggest box SNES games that came out. This was released as like this in Europe. Okay, you just say bear in mind, the Japanese version and the American version didn't come out in this large box style format, and didn't come with this, which is the playing guide. So this is a complete guide for the game. It's in complete detail. There's maps for everything, and originally these guides would have sold separately. I mean, you say make sure it comes with everything when you're buying it. Anyway, I've probably played this game through at least twice. Anyway, you say it's one of the best games in the Castlevania series. Metroid series. I'm getting confused. I've played both of them anyway. And when you say Super Metroid, one of the best games. It's quite popular with speedrunners. I mean, you said the complete times for this game are ridiculously low. It's also available on the SNES Mini. You can play it that way as well. And I believe if you were trying to get a physical copy, you probably should stay away from the PAL version, as I think it's the most expensive of the versions. Anyway, I paid £2 and it's going for... When I say I paid £2 for it, I got it in a collection. It came with... I got about 10 SNES games. I paid about £20 for the collection, so it effectively cost me £2. So it's going for £196.58 now. Right, so now we go on to the top 5, and no surprises. That's the Pokemon, the original game. So this game is a US version. I imported it when it came out. I got it from a shop in the UK. I paid, whatever it was when it came out. So I paid around 30 something for it, 30 maybe something slightly more. And when you say that's the original Pokemon game. So yeah, would I recommend this game particularly? If you're nostalgic for this kind of version, I mean, I keep your eyes open for it. I mean, you say, is it the best playing of the games? No. If you wanted to get a more recent version, I'd either get Fire Red Leaf Green, or even the Let's Go game, as the Let's Go game is basically the improved version, which is Pokemon Yellow, effectively. Anyway, this is Pokemon being the original version, and I had it from when it came out. I was probably one of the first people in the country to complete it before it came out officially in this region. Anyway, you say that's... I got it when it came out. It's going for $199.97 now. And you used to be able to get a digital version, but it's not really available now. There's also a Pokemon MMO if you want to look into that. It's basically just Google it. You'll be able to find it. Okay, so now we move on to Shining Force CD. So this is another tactical RPG game. There's lots of tactical RPGs in this thing. Also similar to Final Fantasy and Fire Emblem. I mean, you say this is a good game. I've played both of the Shining Force CD games that were on the Mega Drive, but I don't have a Mega CD, so I haven't played this one. And this one isn't as accessible as some of the ones. I don't know if it might be out on the Mega Drive, the second Mega Drive Mini, because that has Mega CD games, whereas at the time I wasn't able to play this. Anyway, I've played the original ones, anyway, 1 and 2, and they're both very good. I paid £3 for this quite a while ago. Though I was upset at the time it wasn't Snatcher, because I was more interested in Snatcher than Shining Force CD. But anyway, both of those games are quite expensive. This I paid £3 for, going for $216.70. The other Shining Force CD games are available on the Mega Drive collection, and the later Shining Force games are available on the Saturn, although some of those are Japan only. And other games it's similar in style to are Final Fantasy Tactics and Fire Emblem. Okay, so that's Shining Force CD. Anyway, so this was probably the biggest surprise in my collection when I looked through. I wasn't expecting this to be anyway. It's on the Sega Game Gear, people. It's the most expensive. It's going to be the most expensive handheld game we've featured, and it's one of the only ones that's not a Pokemon game. Anyway, this is on the Sega Game Gear. So for those that don't know the Sega Game Gear, it was a Sega handheld. It was Sega's first handheld. Well, the second one was the Nomad, which was basically a Mega Drive portable that basically... Anyway, both of them guzzled the batteries. This used to the Game Gear got through 6 AA batteries in like an hour. Anyway, Crystal Warriors. I got this for a present when it came out. Even my mum and my dad probably bought it for me for my birthday present or Christmas present. I think it was for my birthday present. I remember playing it at the time. So it was one of the first tactical RPGs I've played when it came out. Although it's not that particularly well used for handheld play because the missions in it were quite long. Also, when we were doing research for this, I found out there was a second version of this game that was released that was in Japan only. I don't know if that's had a translation patch or not. I would keep your eyes open for that if you can. Anyway, this is expensive. I don't know what I paid for it. It was a long time ago. I didn't pay for it myself anyway. It's going for £225. So if you also want to play similar style of games, I would play Final Fantasy Tactics, Fire Emblem, or any of the Shining Force games. This one is good. I will keep my eyes open for the sequel at some point. Right, we're nearly there. Sorry, trying to avoid spoil. Right, okay, so this is another Neo Geo game. So this is now 1975. So this was the first Neo Geo game because, as you see in the corner, it's got NGH, which is the serial number 001. So this was the first game to come out on the Neo Geo. So this is an English home cart. So the English carts are more expensive than the Japanese carts. So what can I tell you about NAM 1975? Being this game is similar in style to Cabal, Blood Brothers, or Wild Guns. And personally, I think I feel some of those games are either. I remember finishing Blood Brothers, but I can't remember finishing this. I remember getting to like the second or third level and it being just quite difficult. Anyway, you also see on the box there's some kind of censorship around here that looks like all the flesh has been covered up, as I've mentioned before in my videos. It looks like there's pen. Anyway, let's open it and we'll show you inside the box. Okay, so that's inside a Neo Geo cart. So that's the manual. Now 1975. I wasn't born in 1975. I was born in 82 for reference, but there we go. All right. This is a English home cart. It seems to like it's still got the pen on the thing. So if you see at the bottom, the glare. Yeah. So there's basically, it's like there's two boards inside it. So that's basically just like having the original home, having the home cartridge, and that's basically what Neo Geo things are. They're basically the same as the arcade version, pretty much home perfect for when it came out. So for comparison, the Neo Geo came out in about I think it was 90 or somewhere around that point, early 90s, and its last game came out quite late. It came out in around 2004, 2005, and it was Samurai Showdown 5 special. And when you say that, then you say this is now 1975. First game released on the AES. It was being the English version. It's also available on the MVS and the CD. And those versions are definitely cheaper. This version going for £281. And you need to say, I think I prefer Blood Brothers personally, but it's still a good game and worth keeping your eyes open for. I've also played it on the Pandora's box, and I'm sure you can play it in MAME or any of those other emulators. Right, so we were on to the top. Sorry for the swing, I'm just trying to avoid the spoil. Okay, any idea, if you've been watching the channel for a while, and I'm sure you probably know what the most expensive game I have. I've had it on the channel 3 times before, and I gave subtle hints to what it was early in the video. Okay, are we ready? It's Castlevania, it's Symphony of the Night. So I'm going to say this is the best Castlevania game ever made, and this is one of the best games that I've ever found in my entire playing thing. Bear in mind, I've been collecting a long time now. I've been collecting like 30 years, and when I got this game, it was going for about the £20 mark. I didn't pay £20 for it. As you can see, it's got a £20 tag on it. Got a pre-owned tag on it. It's £20. So I paid £3 for it. Anyway, let's have a look inside. So this is the European version of Symphony of the Night. Bear in mind, this is a limited edition one. This comes with an art book and the CD. In America and Japan, you didn't get the art book and the CD with it, and it's available in a regular edition. So inside the European one, you get the disc. So my disc is in good condition. Sorry, it's not it's not immaculate. It's got a couple of light marks on it. I'm not going to take the disc out. I mean, you say you can play it on a digital version now if I want it. That's the manual. and also comes at the back. Oop. See if I can get it out without doing the thing. Alright, sorry, I've tried to do that as good as possible. So this is an art book. So it comes with the art book. Oh, fun for it to show you. So it's got a lot of art from the game. So it's showing all the Belmonts of family and things. So you've got the various history of Castlevania, Richter and the Belmonts. It's got like an art book. Also comes with a Castlevania music collection. So apparently, I believe the art book you could get separately in Japan, and if you're trying to complete a copy and it doesn't come with the art book, you can pick up the Japanese version of the art book, as it's the same. Right. Anyway, right. Sharp take of breath. So I paid £3 for it in the charity shop. It was bundled in with a PlayStation. I didn't want the PlayStation at the time. I didn't need a PlayStation. I already had one. And the PlayStation was priced at £10, so I offered them £3 for Symphony of the Night, and they took that. Anyway, it's going for £606 now. So the NTSC and Japanese versions are obviously going for less. The NTSC version has a greatest hits version, which is available. It has a green spine up the thing, which all of them did. So that's obviously a lot cheaper. There's a Saturn version that has exclusive content. But, I don't think the Saturn version is meant to play as well. I would probably like that for complete sake, but I'm not going to pay excessive amount for it. There's available is the digital Xbox 360 version, which is probably the cheapest way to play the game. And there's also available on the PlayStation, so you can get a PS4 collection of it, which is called the Requiem collection, I believe. It also comes with Rondeo of Blood on this thing as well, so you get 2 games for your money. That's available on the European eShop currently. I believe it's going for less than £5. It's about £4 something. So keep your eye open for that, and I would recommend Symphony of the Night. It's one of the best Castlevania games, people, and it's where the term Metroidvania comes from as well, along with Super Metroid. Anyway, I definitely recommend Symphony of the Night anyway. One of the best games and one of my proudest games in my collection. One of my best pickups. And I remember playing it on Christmas Day one year. I'm going to say that I really enjoyed the game. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. And when you say Sophie unfortunately isn't with us today, she hasn't decided to make an appearance. And when you say maybe she'll be with us again next time. Alright, thanks very much for watching. And you say I'll keep on doing these. I aim to do one a month. And we say next month's video is going to be a pickups video, which is going to be showing what the games I've been buying recently on all platforms. And we say thanks very much, like, comment and subscribe. And don't forget to ring the bell notification to tell you when I upload videos. I'll see you again. Thanks very much. Bye.